Hi, I'm Rick Gibb from Bioverge, and today we're going to learn about Suggestic. I have Suggestic CEO Victor Chapala here on the Zoom with me, and he's going to walk us through the company story, and we'll follow that up with a brief Q&A. So Victor, I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you. So at Suggestic, we've built a personalized nutrition mobile development platform. As you may know, we can now modify our diet based on our genome, microbiome, glycemic response, or food sensitivities. However, we still struggle to decide what to cook, what to order at a restaurant, or what to buy at a grocery store. We all need guidance. We need help knowing what is both good for our bodies and delicious to eat. And we need convenience. We want it to be easy to have the right food. So at Suggestic, our main insight was that making it super easy and convenient to find delicious, affordable, and healthy foods was a data discovery problem that we could solve. We realized that if we used artificial intelligence to match what our body needs with the food we like the most, and then further match that to the food options around us, we could effectively allow for food to become medicine. And already 80% of consumers want food to be medicine. However, for this to happen, we need mobile apps to help us discover the most convenient foods available based on our personalized dietary needs and individual preferences. There are already 60,000 nutrition-related app publishers. Everyone from health plans to fitness companies and from lab tests to nutraceuticals all want their own app. And the problem is, health apps take over 24 months to develop and cost over $1 million. And all of them rebuild the same functionality, license the same data, and implement very similar infrastructure. So Suggestic Developer Platform actually helps all of them by empowering businesses to create their own dietary programs and then personalize, customize, and suggest the best food options for every individual, along with tracking to continuously improve food recommendations. So every one of our customers can create their own programs by encoding first their dietary rule sets. Then they include guidance in the form of video content and courseware. Then they bundle their own lab tests, coaching, or nutrition products in such a way that this full experience of what you should eat and coaching you through the process all the way to finding the right food. And that program is then delivered through an app. That app can personalize and customize to each individual. And it can do so through assessments, lab tests, devices, dietitians, and it can be customized for each individual goal, preference, restriction, budget, activity, or food intake. And as you use the app, actually the apps can be built through our API or SDK, but they can build into their own apps with our tools, or we can give them a white label version of our Suggestic app, where all of them can use meal planners, recipe finders, our grocery lists, food login, restaurant menus, food delivery, and many other modules and functionality that we've built over the years. And all of this allows them, including actually our award-winning augmented reality, that allows users to overlay their top-rated menu options. This already works at over 90% of the restaurants in the US. So we have two types of customers at Suggestic. One of them are program creators like Biome Health that can use all this technology to publish their own dietary program, which includes a microbiome test, coaching by Dr. Mahmoud, and their own line of probiotics. And this program fits into their own microbiome health app. On the other hand, we can have customers like United Healthcare, who also creates an app, but instead of creating their own programs, they distribute third-party offerings that could include Biome's Health, or it could include Rally Health or other things that we are bundling in. So our partner programs, our solution allows all our partners to build beautiful and powerful apps. It also allows partners to share the dietary programs and bundle their own diagnostic and nutrition offerings. And finally, our technology platform allows all of them to incorporate advanced functionality and the most comprehensive data sources. So instead of 2 years of development time, partners can receive a fully functional app in as little as 1 day. And instead of millions of dollars in development costs, they pay only for success by paying either for engagement or for sales. So our success-based revenue model allows app publishers to pay a monthly user fee, and program creators pay a commission on the sales of their programs, products, and services. This has all allowed us, since we pivoted in November, to consistently close new contracts. Today, we have a total of $7.6 million of total contract value and $2.5 million in ARR, and with over 800,000 more in final contracting stage out of 72 qualified opportunities and over 150 leads. For the next 3 months will allow us to additionally increase our monthly recurring revenue and will get us to cash flow positive by January. And this, along with monetizing our solution and helping our customers implement and deploy their solutions, we can now become increasingly faster in monetizing the contracted MRR. So our customers really can not only deploy, but also add value to their users faster. So our customers prefer Suggestic because we're the only solution that actually provides an entire suite of data and functionality, personalization, and augmented reality, as you saw before. But most importantly, we have created like a unique type of ecosystem of partner programs that can be then delivered to reps and then filter any type of food and nutrition product available. I like to say that we have centuries of eating experience at Suggestic. And this awesome team that we have put together, this is actually increasingly inaccurate because we've continued to hire people throughout this past few weeks. So we're right now over 27 people working on delivering, mostly technical group, awesome group of advisors and investors, everyone from former or existing venture capitalists, former serial entrepreneurs, and people in the industry who are helping us build a much better product. Although our main objective is eventually to go to a public offering, by sitting in the intersection of 3 major industries, most of our current or future customers and partners can become potential acquirers. In fact, we already have had 6 acquisition inquiries from companies such as Samsung, Nestle, or Viome. And now almost all of them are becoming customers themselves. So, and this is because unlike other nutrition companies, we do not compete with program creators, app publishers, clinics, gyms, coaches, or dietitians. We actually empower all of them to further engage with their users. This allows us to scale very fast by leveraging their network hub distribution. In this highly fragmented ecosystem, we provide them all with the tools to make a difference so that together we can make food as medicine a reality. And with it, empower billions of people around the world to live healthier, happier, and longer lives.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Victor. So some questions, just to guide others through the Suggestic story and to round out some of the background you provided there. Can you shed some light on some of the rationale behind founding Suggestic, one, and then the transition from first selling to consumers and trying to aggregate and build that consumer user base, to turning to the enterprise and providing a platform and tools in that direction?
Yes. So since the beginning of Suggestic, there was 2 things that intersected and got us to want to build it. First, I had my own digestive disorders all my life. And it took me 10 years to figure out that I couldn't eat gluten and dairy, and that those were the root causes behind everything that that was happening to me. As I took them off, I got so much better that it was really like eye-opening how ingredients in our diet can completely change our health. So that was on the one side. And then on the other side, we had been, like in my previous companies, we had been building companies around artificial intelligence, for instance. And in AI, we have the ability to find these complex causality and to use that to actually predict which is better for each individual. And there is something very interesting with digestion and food and the interactions with our microbiome, our genome, the foods we eat, and the health consequences those food have in the short and medium and long term. Those are very complex and very little understood. So we realized that by bringing AI into one of the most complex things we do every day, which is eating, we could actually improve and help people increase their lifespan and their health span. So that was the underlying idea behind it. Now, when we started Suggestic, we started off, actually before even being direct to consumer, we were trying to do it for diabetes. And we tried to get into the medical system and sell like things like in the diabetes reversal. There's a lot of challenges there. And as we created our platform, we realized it was a very difficult road to traverse. And we pivoted first into direct to consumer. We had all these multiple different programs that we directly sold to end users. And although our platform was much better than anything out there, the fact that we didn't have a very good, we realized that the marketplace was highly fragmented, and it wasn't, those individuals that wanted a keto diet were not after a Mediterranean, and those who are Mediterranean were not vegan. So it was mutually exclusive. And there's 100,000 books on nutrition alone. There's thousands of different ways to personalize through either lab tests, devices, or your nutritionist, dietitian, and everyone has their own opinion, or everyone has their own meals and meal plan that you can follow. So what we realized is that addressing all those needs of what people need to eat was a huge number of options, and each of them was a market in itself. So there was a lot of diversity there, and that it was highly fragmented. And then on top of that, if you consider that every person likes different food, so not only is what is best for each person, what do they want to follow, which is what they like, and not only what they need, and then what is available to them through either local restaurants, groceries, or recipes that they can cook at home. All of a sudden, that is a highly complex and very unique and very personalized need. So what we learned by trying to go direct to consumer was that this highly fragmented marketplace would perpetually be that way, because every individual, even in my household, the four of us, even though we have the same cultural background, that we like the same food generally, everyone eats different. So what we need is to personalize at an individual level. And to do that, we had to bring in a diversity of different partners that could create guidance for each of those programs, create food options that would link to that guidance, a lab test that would personalize further, and that we had to give and make our technology available for all those partners to implement and deploy.
Fascinating trajectory, and obviously some really amazing early traction. You've just pivoted to the platform 8 to 9 months ago, and you've already rapidly expanded your potential user base and started bringing in some really high potential revenue contracts. Where do you go from here? Curious just to hear your thoughts on the long-term vision for Suggestic.
So I think there's a very clear need, which is what we are right now solving for, which is there's over 60,000 nutrition-related app publishers. And that is growing at over 40, I think it's 47% compound annual growth rate. So it's growing very fast, the number of publishers. And if you think about it, yes, everyone from our fitness club to our insurance plan or our health plan to our nutritionist or medical professional, all of them are telling us how to eat, and a lot of them are creating their own apps. Even food companies are creating personalized nutrition apps. So food, supplements, everyone has one. Now, what we're seeing is, in the short term, just giving them the tools to create or giving them white label versions of the app to publish, that alone is a huge value, and we can definitely scale the company. And we could, even if we just stayed there, it's a huge, I don't want to go into it, but huge company in itself. Now, the second order, once we've been able to deliver apps and have people use our technology and to create programs and to deliver it to third parties, what happens is you aggregate all of that data. And the data is aggregated not only from the perspective of what people want, and because if you think about it, we're matching what people need with what they like, with what is available and convenient for them. And by matching that, we are learning over time what best recommendations work for each individual, for each group of people, and for each outcome. And so over time, we are learning, and we're not only having data, but we're having inferences that we learn from that data that allow us to predict what people would like to eat the most. So the potential revenue streams that are unlocked once you are growing on this initial path to having all these apps and all these services is you can now provide better food options and have a better prediction of which food options will be required by people. So in our current platform, we are delivering apps and programs. The next stage is we will be delivering both the lab tests, the food options, and taking a share of that. So I think that as we grow and continue to expand, we will see that the second order revenue streams will grow even faster than the technology itself.
Got it. In pursuit of that vision, I'm curious to hear your perspective on the challenges that you might have currently or you expect in the near or medium term.
So the main challenge, when you have a model that can actually be monetized in very many different ways, the challenge is always about focus. And so what we've decided, which is kind of reflected in what I just said, is we decided that our unique focus in the next few months is just to grow our business through delivering both APIs, and SDKs, which allow people to complement their existing apps with our technology. And second, allowing people to use our white label version of our app to publish faster. Just those two things, just helping them publish programs and personalize those programs and make their existing apps or make for them new apps, all of that can get us to the next stage. And the next stage, I mean, in the next 2-3 years, that alone can feed our growth. The challenge is keeping us to do that. Although there's a lot of opportunities, we have, as I said, 150 companies in our pipeline, and some of them would like to do even more things. And I think that keeping ourselves focused on doing what we do best in this short term will allow us to grow the market the fastest, to grow the number of partners, customers, and revenue in such a way that eventually we can do the second and third iteration. So it's really about focus, and that's the biggest challenge when you have all this temptation, is just keeping the whole company focused on delivering on that initial opportunity.
Absolutely. And what's exciting about that from our perspective is that there is so much opportunity, and that might get pushed down a little bit further down the road, but that these partners are excited to work with you and they see what you have. So we're excited about where you go from here. Curious, just in the short to medium term, what do you see as your next major milestone as a company? And related, how will that sort of help you to convey Suggestic's value proposition and maybe raise at higher terms and valuations later on? So
the beautiful thing about the current moment in Suggestic is that normally you have a lot of, like when you're building a product, which was what we were doing last few years, there's a lot of levers you're pulling until you have this product market fit that is very much talked about. And you've got a product market fit when the demand is higher or larger than what you can actually, like right now, I have so many contracts in my, and like that we need to send and sign, and it's just like overwhelming the amount of inbound. We have 1 to 3 customers per day asking to get proposals and things. So once you get there, the interesting thing is that it also allows us for a very simple metric to surface, which is increasing our sales. So like that's a great leading indicator, and it's a great focus. So right now the whole company is focused around one single thing, which is getting to cash flow positive by January. And we know that just hitting that one single milestone unlocks the ability to raise a very high valuation, a very successful A round, because it's not only because it took, like, how can we get to cash flow positive in a year, in the COVID year, and go from almost zero in revenue to $4 or $5 million in ARR. That is, I think, the biggest success story we can have. And that actually validates that our customers are getting the value they're getting, that their end users are getting that value, that we have a scalable, growing business, and that we can deliver. And I think that we are well underway to get there. So I think that if I can say what is the main milestone, we are all focused on cash flow positive, because we think that that doesn't mean we will stay cash flow positive. Most probably we will just invest more money at a higher rate to grow even faster. However, it does validate the fact that we have a sustainable growing business.
If I might just take that a step further, I'm curious, for to get to 5 million ARR, like you alluded to, do you anticipate needing to do anything different than what you're already doing, or is this continuing to plug and chug, using the processes that you've set up and maybe some improved efficiencies along the way?
I would say the processes are not set up. We started like 8 months ago. So the challenge is actually exactly that. We need to implement the processes so that this stops being and that's what we're working on right now. As I mentioned just a moment ago, I was coming back from a meeting to recruit a new person for business development, and we are growing the team continuously. So the whole idea around what is next is, right now we're building the processes and we're systematizing everything so that we can continue to deliver to our new customers, continue to generate leads, because we have 150 leads, but really there's 60,000 of those companies out there. So how do we increase the number of leads? How do we push them through the process at a faster pace and get more revenue up front? So we're changing the contract, we're changing the way we're structuring so that we can move more money forward, we can increase the speed at which we can deliver. I was talking about the Android version. The Android version allows us to monetize a lot of the customers that were waiting for that in order to deploy. Mm-hmm. And it also allows us to have a software development kit that includes Android. So now instead of rebuilding the user interface, they can just plug in modules that are already built with the user interface and have that integrated into their apps very, very quickly. So, and then we are building a self-service module so people creating their own programs don't have to go through us to create a new program with their own video and rule sets. They can do that on their own. So as we move forward, what we're doing is creating these mechanisms so that we can sign up customers and they can deploy and they can start paying more and faster. And so that's a whole vision around these next few months, which is very clear. It's just scaling what is already working.
Great. One piece that we didn't really touch on, would love your some background there, is on some of the bigger customers that you do have, and your thoughts on, now that you do have a foot in the door and they're getting exposure to Suggestic, how do you grow that business and sort of expand into the larger community and potential that they represent?
Yeah, so that is a very interesting question, because you have right now, evidently, the fastest moving customers are those who are medium-sized companies that just want to have a presence. A lot of them are actually running to have their apps out by January because that's the best month for anything related to nutrition or personalized nutrition or any. However, the larger customer like United Healthcare, they're much more cautious in the way they go about it. So we've been fortunate that we've gone through the whole process, get the contract in. Just to give you an idea, compliance took us 2-3 months. Like a contract has taken almost a year, or took almost a year, and then they go through a first test, a second test, and a pilot test, and then they think about deploying. So, and that doesn't really, and the interesting thing is they are deploying an app that has their own brand in it. So that makes it a little bit more complex because they want to have their own United Healthcare app, which is a white label of ours. Inside of that, you have different programs. So it doesn't, the app is a delivery, their app, which is powered by Suggestic, is really a delivery mechanism for programs. And the programs that will be in the first pilot test are created by Rally Health, which is part of United Health Group. So when you think about it, it's really, the technology here is allowing them to deliver the content and the coaching and the guidance they already have within the United Health Group directly to their customers in United Health. And we're working with the enterprise and individual area, which really what they do there is they manage 41 million lives. So as we go through the pilot test, if this proves to be something that they want to deploy, so that those 41 million lives will be eventually, so the pilot test, to give you an idea, will be targeting 100,000 people, and after the internal tests. And once that is proven, then the app itself will be a mechanism through which they will deliver to everyone to all of the people who are insured, all the members of United Healthcare, will potentially be delivered these different dietary programs that can be used by the members for either wellness and eventually healthcare reasons.
It's incredibly exciting. Well, thank you, Victor. I really appreciate your time. And for those tuning in, if you have any questions for Bioverge or for Victor and Suggestic, you can send them into info@bioverge.com and we'll make sure to address them. So thanks again, Victor. And we're certainly rooting